Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. New Symmetra is leaving a lot of players scratching their heads as they're not quite sure how to go about her, where she's strong, what she's strong with and against. Well, today I sit down with the number one Symmetra in the world ranked on Overbuff, MrBobWagner, to talk about where Symmetra is good, where you should be playing her, and what kind of strategies she might be able to shut down or counter. Let us know what you think of Symmetra in the comments below, and do check out all of MrBobWagner's stuff in the description, and let's get started in today's video. So for anybody that doesn't know who you are, why should people listen to you about Symmetra, and what did you play beforehand? Did you play any of the old Symmetra before as like a one trick? What's your background before this?
Hi, I'm MrBobWagner, and I am the number one ranked sim on Overbuff. I'm currently in top 100 with a win percentage around 70% on Symmetra. What did I play before this? I didn't play Symmetra, I can tell you that much. I was very strongly against Symmetra in her old state, and I was a flex DPS support off tank. I was GM since season 3. I've played this game way too much, but it's my life.
I guess the main area to go into then is how good is new Symmetra, because it feels that even though she's been in the game for quite some time and in competitive since the start of the season, people still don't really know their way around her.
I think that is very fair, and people don't. People have a strong bias against Symmetra because for a lot of the game she was considered a troll pick or someone who would not try their hardest or not be optimal. But now I think in her current state she has insane team mobility, insane damage, and insane map control, and I think she could be viable at even the Overwatch League potential on some maps.
So I guess the question there is what maps? Like, where is new Symmetra going to be good and where should people be playing her?
Symmetra is the best in the current meta, in my opinion, on 2CP maps. This is because she is good at two things, specifically that are important for 2CP. She's good at map control, and she's good at anti-stall. Anti-stall is something that happens all the time, and there's even a Twitch chat thing, 2CP lol, where one person can stall out the point long enough to win the round. But what Symmetra can do is she can place turrets in the different corners of the point, and she can stop this annoying stall, and you can win the fight if you just get set up on point.
And this is on attack, right? Yeah. Yeah,
no, this is on attack, where Symmetra is normally considered the worst in the game. Symmetra used to be like on 2CP, on attack was like the throw pick. If there was a communal throw pick, it would be that or Torbjorn. So I think she's super strong now in the anti-stall, and that's very prevalent in 2CP. Also where she's good is map control with chokes, and this is where she shines on defense. The enemy team has to push through a choke, and she prevents that from happening easily. She puts pressure on the enemy team, and she forces them to play around her turrets, and if your team can capitalize on that, you can easily win.
So I guess in other areas then, we're in quite a diverse meta where a lot of different strategies can be used. What does Symmetra offer to that? Does she enable some strategies that maybe aren't as popular? Does she almost counter some of the strategies that you can see in the game? Like, when it comes up against compositions, what teams do you want to be running Symmetra into, and what teams do you want to be running Symmetra with?
You want to be running Symmetra into non-mobile comps, something like Ryan Zarya, where it's not super aggressive. Team comps like Goats sort of hard counter Symmetra because they just speed past a choke. They don't fight there. They're not slowed down. They just push. They press W and they just run forward until your entire team's dead. But if they're playing a slow comp like Double Sniper, if you can play the corners and not get picked, they're not going to be able to push through. And if that's the case, they're just going to be sitting at choke the entire game, and you can easily win in that situation.
Well, I was going to say just then, you mentioned Double Sniper. Like, is it too much of a stretch to say that Symmetra can shut down what they want to do quite a lot? Do you feel that that's going to be a viable strategy? Say because of the pro scene, Double Sniper's played a lot. Can you actually see pro players going, let's run Symmetra, let's run like an Orisa as well, try and stack up a bit more?
I think that it's entirely possible. Because if you can play the sightlines and not get headshot, which is where snipers shine, where they one-shot you, you can easily stop the tanks, because what Double Sniper doesn't have is they don't have a lot of shield break. And if you can control the choke, with your shield keeping up and their shield not, with the turrets, the snipers won't have enough room to push through. They won't have enough space that the tanks usually provide to pop off. So if you can control the choke and stop the tanks from pushing through, you can definitely counter, in quotations, double sniper. But if it's Soon or Raksu, it might not be possible, but it's definitely doable currently.
And I mean, that sort of enables heroes like Orisa too, that's very good against, double sniper compositions because of the shield. And because it also helps her out because it enables her to put her on like high ground in areas, you see at the start of like Temple of Anubis in the pro scene, the pros bringing out a Mei on defense to just, push the Orisa onto that little bit of high ground. Now you don't need to do that anymore, and you can do that more often with Symmetra.
Yeah, you could. That's actually a great example. If you run Symmetra on that point, if you have to drop down to point, you can go back up with 6 people and start the next fight with that extreme advantage.
Do you think that's going to be really strong then? Because that's a composition that is used a lot in the pro scene and has a lot of success.
I think the weakest part of that composition is that once you drop down, you can't go back up. And with Symmetra, you can. I think that is incredibly valuable, and if you have a good team that can play around that, that's incredibly strong. On first point Anubis, she might become meta. She might become, you're picking, who's going to go Sim? Like, we need a Sim here. Like, I think it's definitely possible if the pros can play at that sort of level and utilize her to her full potential. I think 100% she could become meta on 2 CP maps.
But in other areas, you feel that it's still going to be really difficult to make her work?
It's just harder on things like King of the Hill, where brawling happens, and payload, where it's a lot of fighting on the point. It's more difficult for Sim to survive because she is weak. She is 200 HP. She's not a tank. To fight on a payload, you're gonna die, but if you can just spam right clicks from distance, like into a choke, I think that's way stronger than if you're brawling on a point. But sometimes you need to do that, and Sim's just not as strong as that as, say, Bridget or Tracer, or someone with more mobility and survivability on point.
We spoke a lot about Orisa there and how Symmetra kind of enables Orisa to do a job a little bit more. Are there any other heroes that you feel are going to be really good if new Symmetra becomes somewhat meta? Or any heroes that you feel are going to fall in popularity because they get countered by her?
I think Orisa is really strong, and I'm sorry Genji mains, but Genji and Doomfist are like really hard countered by the turrets, because one shuriken or one right click doesn't always... The one shuriken never kills a turret, but one Doomfist left click, Doomfist shot, is like, there's like a 30% chance of killing it, and those things will melt you. So, and they slow you down too. So I think if Symmetra is meta, I will see much less Doomfist and Genji, which is honestly a thankful thing for me, because I do not like playing against those heroes.
What about Tracer as well, because she's a flanker too?
Tracer is more survivable because she can stay at mid-range and blink around your right clicks, but if she's brave enough to get up close, you can do a full charge right click melee and one-shot her. It's something that I do all the time, and I actually played against pro Tracer yesterday, and I killed her, and she was like, wait, what? You just shot the ground and meleeed me. How did that kill me? And I was like, it's the new Sim, man. You can do that.
So what about other heroes that you feel are going to be much stronger with Symmetra? Like something like Junkrat might be a lot better, or any other sort of heroes that maybe low mobility kind of really screws them over a bit, and you think the Symmetra can really help them out?
I think you can do some crazy things with McCree with low mobility, because mobility is McCree's weakest point, where he's super strong mid-range, but he just doesn't have an escape. So if you have a really good McCree, you can TP High Noon, or you can TP him to high ground and have him shoot pot shots for free on the enemy team. But that's true for literally any hero that has low mobility, like Zenyatta or Ana. You can be able to put them into high ground or positions that they normally won't be in or can't be in, and they can provide much more utility and survive longer because they're harder to get to.
So I guess a final things to really go over is just the state of Symmetra right now. There are a couple of areas that have question marks over them that kind of need resolving, one of which is the left click, and a lot of people are still upset in the state that it's currently in.
Yeah, the left click is not in a good state right now. It is, in my opinion, too short, and it doesn't. The initial stages of damage don't do enough for it to be effective. If you can get it to be full charge and survive, it's a super powerful ability. But just the fact that this happens so rarely and it's so hard to do just makes it not optimal, in my opinion, because a right click will always do 120 damage, and if you can hit 2 of those, the target is dead unless they have some sort of healing. But you would have to charge a full sim orb and then probably reload, which is way too long for Symmetra, and then start melting the target. It takes too long to be effective, in my opinion, and it puts Symmetra in too rough of a situation.
Are there any other areas that you feel she kind of needs work on? And I guess actually, are there any areas that you feel that she's amazingly OP and too strong?
I don't know if she does need work. I don't want a next Hanzo that's overtuned. I think she's incredibly strong right now, and people just need to play her correctly for her to thrive. But one change I would make is I would increase the hitbox on left click by a minuscule amounts, because sometimes even if you're over someone, it just doesn't connect. There's some visual bug there that I'm pretty sure is taking place, and increase the range to maybe Zarya's, or maybe like a meter less than Zarya's, because Zarya's range is 16 meters, Sim's current range is 10. It, like, you can feel Zarya's melting you, and you feel like she's far enough away that she's safe, but with Symmetra, like, she's in Reinhardt swinging distance. So I think those 2 changes would be useful, and maybe being able to ignore railings with turrets, or with TPs, or having TPs destroy railings, because that's very annoying when you're trying to TP to a high ground and there's a railing.
I guess finally then, just what kind of compositions do you feel are going to come out a little bit more, like, or any compositions that you feel are going to fall in popularity? Like, you know, you said the flankers, like dive could fall in popularity, and double snipers. Do you feel like any other strategies might come out more?
I think a TP Orisa combo is gonna be meta at some point. TPing Orisa to high ground with your whole team, and having them all safe through the TP, because the Orisa can go through first and throw down a shield. And if that's the case, you can brawl with her, and you can win fights by getting high ground and taking advantage of the natural map layout. I think that meta could definitely happen. I can see that without doubt.
For sure, and I guess finally, any last things that you want to go over with Symmetra, and where can people find more of you playing the rank number 1 Symmetra currently?
One advice I have for new Symmetra players is to be positive, be helpful, be communicative, and try to not tilt your team, because that happens very easily with Symmetra. It's just how it is currently. Hopefully that won't be the case in 5 years, but that's how it is right now. You can find me at twitch.tv/MrBobWagner_. I stream semi-occasionally on the weekends and during the week, and I play Sim, and I flex to DPS and off-tank and support, but I try to win as much as I can.
And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. You can check out all of Bob's stuff in the description below. Do leave a like and a subscription if you haven't already. Really does help out the channel. And until next time, take care. We'll see you then.